Rain fell hard that night, sharp, cold drops hammering against the empty streets of Manhattan like a warning from the heavens. The city's heartbeat pulsed in flashes of red and gold from traffic lights, shimmering across puddles that mirrored broken dreams. Nicole Carter, hood pulled low, sprinted across the crosswalk, clutching a paper bag of takeout she couldn't afford. Her shift at the cafe had run late again. It always did. Rent was due tomorrow, and her manager had cut her hours. Life in the city didn't pause for anyone, especially not for a girl like her, fighting to stay afloat in a world that didn't care if she sank. Her phone buzzed in her hand, the cracked screen lighting up with a single word from her best friend. Tomorrow? She typed back quickly, thumbs trembling from the cold. But before she could send it, a shoulder collided with hers, hard. "Watch it!" a man snapped, his accent thick, his suit dark as midnight. "Sorry," she muttered, bending to pick up her phone from the wet pavement. He was already gone, swallowed by the blur of umbrellas and headlights. Nicole shook her head, brushed the screen dry, and ducked into the late-night cafe on 7th Avenue to escape the storm. The warmth inside hit her like a memory. She'd served countless hours behind counters like this, yet tonight she was only a customer, a tired one. She set the phone on the counter, ordered a small coffee, and pulled out her notebook filled with sketches she'd never show anyone. Dreams of designing, creating, all buried under bills and double shifts. When the barista slid her drink over, she grabbed her phone, stuffed it into her coat pocket, and left. The storm had softened, but thunder still grumbled in the distance like something unresolved. She didn't notice it right away. Not until she reached the subway entrance and tried to unlock her screen. Fingerprint rejected. Again. Again. Her breath caught. What the... It wasn't cracked anymore. It wasn't even hers. The phone gleamed, sleek, new, heavy, a custom leather case, wallpaper, a dark crest she didn't recognize, and messages, dozens of them, flashing across the lock screen in code. Location confirmed. Proceed with caution. Target may be compromised. Nicole froze, the subway crowd rushing past her like a current. "This isn't mine." She turned in circles, scanning faces, the rain, the streets, but the man in the black suit was long gone. She fumbled through her bag, searching for a clue. No receipt, no contact info, nothing. Her instincts whispered, "Return it. Don't touch anything." Then the phone buzzed again. A name appeared, Luigi Moretti, and below it, a single message. Status? Nicole swallowed. Her pulse pounded in her ears. She knew that name. Everyone did. Luigi Moretti, the quiet ghost of New York's underworld, the one people whispered about but never saw, the man whose name alone could make debt collectors disappear, or reappear in worse ways. And somehow, she had his phone. She almost laughed. Because what else do you do when your life takes a turn so absurd it borders on fate? Okay, maybe I'm dreaming, she muttered. But when headlights cut across her, sharp and deliberate, the smile faded. A black SUV rolled to a stop at the corner, its tinted window lowered, just enough for her to see the eyes behind it. Cold, calculated, watching. Then another SUV turned the corner, then a third, her stomach twisted. Oh my God. The phone vibrated again. This time, a call. Unknown number. She hesitated, answered. Hello? Silence. Then a deep voice, calm, smooth, commanding. Where are you? Her throat tightened. I think there's been a mistake. I found this phone. You didn't find it. The voice interrupted, sharp as a blade. You took it. I swear I didn't. I thought it was mine. Stay where you are, he ordered. If you run, you won't make it far. The call ended. Nicole looked up. The SUVs were moving now, slow and synchronized, crawling closer like predators circling prey. Panic surged through her. She bolted down the stairs into the subway, heart hammering. She jumped the turnstile, sprinted through the station, shoving past startled commuters. The sound of footsteps echoed behind her, heavier, faster. Men in black coats followed, calling in Italian into their earpieces. Stop, one shouted. She ran harder. Trains roared in the tunnels, the metallic air burning her lungs. She darted into a service corridor, climbed a staircase, emerged back into the night, drenched, trembling, lost. Above, the low hum of rotors. She froze, looked up. A helicopter hovered overhead, its spotlight slicing through the rain, sweeping across rooftops, searching. She ducked into an alley, pressing her back against the wall, clutching the phone like it might bite. Think, Nick. Think. There was no one she could call. The police? They'd laugh, or worse, hand her over. Friends? She had none she trusted enough with this. The phone buzzed again, another message. Last chance. Surrender it. Her lip quivered. Surrender to who? She took a deep breath, stepped out of the alley, and froze. At the far end of the street, a figure stood beneath a streetlight. Alone, still, tall, broad shoulders, black suit soaked by rain. He wasn't armed, not visibly. He didn't need to be. The weight of power hung on him like a second skin. Their eyes met across the distance, hers wide with fear. His cold, unreadable. He started walking. Every instinct screamed run, but her legs wouldn't obey. There was something about his gaze, steady, unrelenting, like he already knew every secret she carried. When he stopped in front of her, the rain between them slowed, like the world itself held its breath. You, he said quietly. His voice, the same one from the call. You took something that belongs to me. Nicole shook her head. I didn't mean to. It was a mistake, I swear. His eyes narrowed. Mistakes cost lives in my world. She clutched the phone. Please, I didn't even open it. You did. His gaze flicked to the unlocked screen in her hand. And now they think you are me. What? Who does? A black SUV screeched to a halt behind her. Doors flew open. Men shouted in Italian. Guns raised. Luigi stepped closer, grabbing her wrist before she could move. His grip was firm, not cruel. Don't scream, he whispered. If you want to live, stay quiet. Her breath caught. Who are you? He leaned in, his eyes burning through the rain. The man whose phone you just stole. Another SUV braked across the intersection, blocking the exit. A helicopter beam flared over them. Sirens wailed in the distance. Nicole's heart pounded so loud she could barely hear his next words. You have no idea what you've done. And before she could respond, before she could even breathe, he pulled her into the shadows. The city lights blurred as the black SUV tore through the streets, engine growling like a beast unleashed. Rain lashed against the windows, each drop reflecting Nicole's fear. Her hands trembled in her lap, wrists still marked from Luigi's grip. Across from her, the man she'd once thought was a myth sat in silence, composed, dangerous, eyes fixed on the storm outside. She wanted to speak, but her throat felt tight. Every bump in the road sent her heart leaping. Finally, she found her voice. Where are you taking me? Luigi didn't look at her. Somewhere safe. Safe? She whispered. You had men chasing me with guns. How is that safe? His gaze shifted, piercing. They weren't mine. Her stomach dropped. What do you mean? He leaned forward slightly, elbows on his knees. That phone you're holding doesn't just belong to me. It contains information, names, routes, transactions, worth millions to the wrong hands. You walked into a war you don't understand. I didn't walk into anything, she shot back, voice shaking. I grabbed the wrong phone. I thought it was mine. Luigi studied her, the panic in her eyes, the quiver in her voice. She didn't look like a spy. She looked like someone lost. But trust had burned him before. He wasn't about to make that mistake again. He turned to the driver. No stops, straight to the penthouse. The man nodded. Nicole's eyes darted to the window. They were crossing the East River, heading into the quiet, towering skyline of Midtown. Her reflection stared back, pale, terrified, clutching the phone that started it all. When they finally arrived, she followed him through a private elevator, her soaked sneakers squeaking against the marble floor. The penthouse opened like another world. Glass walls revealing the city below, shelves of old books, the faint scent of cigars and rain. He motioned to a chair at the center of the room. Sit. She froze. Are you going to hurt me? If I wanted to hurt you, he said, setting his coat aside, you'd already be gone. That didn't make her feel better. She sat slowly, clutching the phone. I can explain. You've said enough. He circled her like a lion assessing prey. Tell me who you work for. What? No one. I'm a barista. I make cappuccinos, not deals with mobsters. He stopped behind her chair. Then how did you unlock my phone? I didn't. It opened on its own. Impossible. His voice hardened. It's encrypted. Nicole turned, desperate. Maybe I brushed it by accident. Maybe it glitched. Please, you have to believe me. Luigi moved to face her, eyes narrowing. He'd interrogated spies, traitors, killers, but never someone who looked this fragile, this honest. Either she was the best liar he'd ever seen, or fate was playing a cruel game. He knelt slightly, lowering to her level. Look at me. She did, reluctantly. If you're lying, he said softly, you won't leave this place. Her lips trembled. And if I'm not? He hesitated, the faintest crack in his armor. Then you're in more danger than you realize. The phone buzzed on the table between them. Both glanced down. Incoming message. Package acquired. Proceed to extraction point. Luigi's jaw tightened. They think they have it. Who? She asked. He straightened. My enemies. Which means you have maybe 2 hours before they realize you're still alive. Nicole's pulse raced. What are you going to do? Keep you alive. For now. She rose from the chair. I don't want your protection. I just want my life back. You don't have one anymore, he said simply. Not until this is over. She took a step back. You can't just decide that. The elevator chimed. Luigi's hand went to his holster instinctively. He moved to the panel by the wall, pressing a button. The security feed blinked on. 2 men in suits stood outside, weapons drawn. His voice dropped. How did they find me this fast? Nicole's voice shook. They followed us? No, someone tipped them off. His eyes darkened. Inside my own house. He turned to her. Stay behind me. Don't move. What? Wait. But he was already in motion, pulling a hidden weapon from a shelf, moving like a shadow. The door crashed open. Gunfire shattered the silence. Nicole ducked, screaming, as bullets ripped through glass and marble. Luigi returned fire, precise, efficient, each shot a statement of control. One attacker fell, another lunged forward, and Nicole, acting on instinct, hurled a heavy lamp across the room. It smashed into the man's shoulder. He staggered. Luigi spun, finished the fight with a single strike. Then silence, smoke, shattered glass. Nicole trembled behind the couch, breath ragged. He turned to her, eyes sharp, chest rising and falling with adrenaline. She clutched the armrest. Are you going to kill me too? Luigi lowered the gun slowly. You just saved my life. She blinked, speechless. Not exactly what an assassin would do, he murmured, studying her again. Something shifted in his gaze, curiosity, maybe even respect. Nicole stood, shaking. What now? He exhaled, scanning the mess. Now, we disappear. Her heart pounded. Disappear? You mean run? Hide, he corrected, until I know who betrayed me. He reached for the phone on the table, then paused, his eyes lifted to her. You're coming with me. She stared. No. No, I can't. You don't have a choice, Nicole. Hearing her name from his lips sent a chill through her. How do you know my name? He gave a faint, knowing smile. I know more than you think. She shook her head. I didn't ask for this. I just wanted to go home. Home isn't safe anymore. He holstered his gun, turned toward the door. Pack what you need. We leave in 5 minutes. She didn't move. You're serious. He looked back at her, eyes storm dark, full of secrets. You have my phone, Nicole. That means you're part of my world now. And with that, he stepped into the elevator, leaving her staring after him, torn between fear and the strange, undeniable pull of a man she should hate, but couldn't. Outside, sirens wailed through the storm, closer this time. Nicole looked at the shattered window, the skyline beyond, the phone glowing in her hand. What had she done? What had she stumbled into? And why, even as fear clawed at her chest, did she feel that her life, her real life, had just begun? The elevator doors slid open again. Luigi stood there, coat on, expression unreadable. "Time's up," he said. She hesitated, then stepped inside. The doors closed, the city faded. And somewhere in the darkness, an unseen enemy whispered into a radio. "Target acquired. Follow the signal." The elevator doors slid shut behind them, sealing out the echo of sirens and shattered glass. The descent was fast, silent, heavy with the scent of gunpowder and rain-soaked fear. Nicole clutched her coat to her chest, still trembling. Every sound made her flinch, the hum of the cables, the metallic sigh as the elevator slowed. Across from her, Luigi stood motionless, his expression carved from stone. No sign of panic, no visible fear, just focus. When the doors opened, two black sedans waited in the underground garage. One was sleek and armored, the other old, unmarked, a ghost car. Luigi motioned to the second. "This one." She blinked. "Why not the—" "Because they're watching the obvious exits," he said sharply. "Get in." Nicole slid into the passenger seat, her pulse racing. He started the engine, lights off, and drove through the dim corridors like he'd memorized every turn. They exited through a service ramp that opened into a narrow alley behind the building. The rain had softened into mist, wrapping the city in a gray veil. She stared out the window. "How do you even know where to go?" "I built half the safe routes myself," he replied. "You learn to prepare for betrayal when you live long enough in my world." She turned to him. "And who betrayed you this time?" His jaw tightened. "Someone close." The words hung heavy between them. Nicole didn't push. She knew enough about pain to recognize when a wound was too deep to touch. They sped through the empty streets, weaving between abandoned taxis and late-night delivery trucks. The city looked different from this angle, raw, dangerous, stripped of its glitter. Somewhere behind them, the whir of engines echoed faintly. "Are they following us?" she asked. Luigi's eyes flicked to the mirror. "Not yet, but they will." Her hands fidgeted in her lap. "I don't understand why I'm still here. I don't belong in this—" "You do now," he interrupted. "Until I figure out who set me up. Anyone holding that phone is a target. If they get to you, they'll think you're me." Nicole pressed her lips together. "You keep saying they. Who are they?" He hesitated. "People who once called me ally." A silence settled, filled only by the hum of the engine and the rhythm of the rain. Finally she whispered, "You don't trust anyone, do you?" Luigi's gaze stayed on the road. "Trust is earned, and bought, and broken." She turned to the window, watching the reflections blur. She wanted to hate him, for dragging her into this, for acting like fate had made her his burden. But part of her understood. You didn't build walls like his without reason. 10 minutes later, headlights flashed in the rearview mirror. Luigi's voice dropped. "Buckle up." "What is it?" "Trouble." The SUV appeared fast, too fast, turning the corner with surgical precision. Another followed behind it. Twin predators closing in. Nicole's heart jumped. "They found us." He slammed the gear into reverse, spun the car in a perfect 180 and sped into a side street. Tires screeched. Engines roared. Gunfire cracked through the rain, sparks flying as bullets struck the metal near her window. She ducked instinctively. "Oh my God! Stay down!" Luigi barked, spinning the wheel, cutting through narrow lanes. They raced past dumpsters, neon reflections, puddles splashing like fire under their tires. He reached into the glove box, tossed her something metallic. She caught it clumsily. "What is this?" "A flare." "What am I supposed to—" "Throw it when I say." Her fingers shook, gripping the cold metal. She didn't want to ask why. Another SUV roared up beside them, window rolling down. A man leaning out, gun aimed. Luigi swerved, clipping a parked car. The SUV skidded, regained balance. "Now!" he shouted. Nicole yanked the flare's tab and hurled it out the window. It sparked alive, a fiery comet spinning into the street, exploding in a burst of red light. The pursuers braked, blinded for a heartbeat. It was enough. Luigi turned sharply into an alley, killed the lights, and coasted behind a row of dumpsters. Engines thundered past, unaware. Silence returned, except for her racing pulse. Nicole exhaled, breath shaky. I can't do this." "You just did," he said quietly. She looked at him, really looked at him, and saw the faintest trace of something human behind the stoicism. Gratitude, maybe even awe. He glanced at her hands. "You're shaking." "Of course I'm shaking," she snapped. "I'm not built for this. I make lattes, Luigi, not decoys." He leaned back, exhaling slowly. "Then why didn't you freeze?" Her voice softened. "Because I didn't want to die." He gave a faint, almost reluctant smile. "Good answer." They sat in silence for a while, hidden between brick walls and the sound of dripping water. The storm outside faded to a drizzle, painting the city in silver streaks. For a brief moment, they weren't predator and prey, just two souls stranded in the same storm. Nicole's voice broke the quiet. "You said there's someone inside. Someone who betrayed you." He nodded once. "Someone I trusted." "Do you know who?" His eyes darkened. "Not yet. But whoever it is, they knew I'd be at the penthouse. They knew the phone was gone." She frowned. "So, they wanted me dead too?" "They don't care about you," he said simply. "You're collateral." The word stung. She looked away, swallowing hard. "Then maybe you should just let me go." He shook his head. "Not until I find out who's behind this." "And after that?" she asked. He met her gaze, steady, unreadable. "After that, we'll see." She didn't like the sound of that. They drove again, weaving through back streets until the skyline thinned. The neon lights gave way to quiet roads and empty fields, the edge of the city. Eventually, they stopped before a gated property hidden behind trees. Luigi keyed in a code. The gate opened silently. Nicole stared as they drove through. The safe house stood by a dark lake, its reflection trembling in the water, a fortress dressed like a cabin. No neighbors, no noise, just isolation. When they stepped out, the air smelled like pine and distant rain. Nicole wrapped her coat tighter. "So this is it? Where you hide when the world's falling apart?" Luigi glanced around. "It's where no one can find me." She forced a shaky laugh, except the people who already did. He shot her a look, not anger exactly, something closer to respect. "You're braver than you think, Nicole Carter." She met his eyes. "Or just really unlucky." For the first time, he didn't disagree. Inside, the safe house was quiet. Warm light, polished wood, a faint hum of old jazz from a forgotten speaker. He poured 2 glasses of water, handed her one. "Get some rest," he said. "Tomorrow, we find answers." She hesitated, gripping the glass. "What if your traitor finds us first?" He looked out the window, scanning the tree line. "Then we'll be ready." Nicole followed his gaze, the reflection of 2 strangers thrown together by fate, framed against a world of danger. Somewhere deep down, under layers of fear, a spark flickered. Unwanted, unplanned, but real. She turned away before he could see it. Outside, in the distance, a small red light blinked, hidden in the trees. A tracker. Morning came quietly, but the storm hadn't really gone. It lingered in the air, not in clouds, but in the silence between them. Nicole woke to the faint smell of coffee and the low hum of rain against the cabin's roof. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. The soft sheets, the scent of cedar, the sound of a lake brushing the shore. Then the memories hit like thunder. The chase, the gunfire, the man in the suit whose eyes burned with secrets. She sat up quickly, scanning the unfamiliar room. Her bag sat in the corner, still there. The phone, though, was gone. Her heart jumped. "Luigi," she called softly. No answer. She slipped out of bed, barefoot, and stepped into the hallway. The cabin was larger than it looked from outside. Open space, rustic warmth, stone fireplace still crackling from the night before. Through the glass walls, the lake stretched out like a sheet of silver, peaceful, deceptive. Luigi stood near the window, shirt sleeves rolled, phone in hand. He didn't turn when he spoke. "You move quietly." Nicole froze. "You took my phone." "It's not your phone," he reminded, eyes still on the water. "It's mine, and it's how they're tracking us." Her breath hitched. "You mean—" "Yes." He turned, placing the device on the table like it was something poisonous. "There's a tracker embedded inside, military grade. Whoever planted it wanted me found." She stepped closer. "So that means someone close to you had to have access," he finished. "Yes." Silence. Heavy. He looked tired for the first time, the faint shadows under his eyes betraying sleepless hours. "Can't you just destroy it?" she asked. "I could." He poured himself a cup of coffee, then added, "But if I do, they'll know I found it. Better to use it." "Use it? How?" He met her gaze. "To feed them lies." Nicole crossed her arms. "You really live like this every day?" "This is a quiet day," he said flatly. She shook her head, half laughing, half breaking. "I can't imagine living like that. No trust, no peace." Luigi studied her for a long moment. "Peace is a luxury men like me don't get. Maybe you should try." His brow furrowed. "You think I haven't?" Her voice softened. "Then why are you still running?" He didn't answer. He didn't have to. The look in his eyes, that flicker of loss, spoke louder than words. She took a slow breath. "You've lost someone." He looked away. "We all have." Nicole hesitated, then sat at the table. "My father walked out when I was 10. My mom worked 2 jobs just to keep us fed. Every time the phone rang, she thought it might be him, but it never was. Eventually, she stopped hoping." Luigi turned, leaning against the counter, arms folded. "You still do." She glanced up, startled. "What makes you say that?" He shrugged slightly. "You look at every sound like you're waiting for someone to come back." Her throat tightened. "Maybe I am." Something fragile passed between them. Not pity, not romance, but understanding. 2 broken souls, mirrored in silence. A faint beep broke the moment. Luigi's head snapped toward the phone. The tracker's light blinked once, twice, then stopped. Nicole frowned. "What does that mean?" He crossed the room fast, tapping the screen. "They're close." They switched to passive mode. "In English?" "They're near enough to see the cabin." Her pulse spiked. "You said this place was safe." It was. He grabbed a bag from the shelf, stuffing in files, cash, a small gun. "They must have used drones overnight." She stood, panicked. "Then what are we still doing here? Let's go." He paused, glancing toward the door. "Not yet. We move when I know which direction they're coming from." Nicole stared. "How can you be so calm?" He met her eyes, steady, controlled. "Because panic gets you killed." Her breath trembled. "I'm not built for this." He stepped closer. "No one is. Until they have to be." The front porch creaked. Both froze. Luigi signaled her to stay back, moving quietly toward the door. Nicole held her breath, gripping the edge of the table. Shadows moved outside, slow, careful. Then a voice. "Boss, it's Marco." Luigi hesitated, hand on his weapon. Then he opened the door. Marco stepped in, tall, sharp-eyed, wearing rain-soaked tactical gear. Relief washed over Nicole's face. Finally, someone who wasn't trying to kill them. Luigi's voice was low. "How did you find us?" Marco blinked. "You sent the location." "No," Luigi said darkly. "I didn't." Nicole's heart skipped. "You think he—" Luigi silenced her with a glance. His eyes locked on Marco. "Who else knows you're here?" "No one," Marco said quickly. I came alone. I heard about the hit at your penthouse. Vince was behind it. I'm sure of it. Luigi's jaw tightened. Vince? Yeah, he's been meeting with outsiders, making calls behind your back. Nicole stepped forward. The same Vince who works with you? Marco nodded. We need to act now before he vanishes. Luigi studied him. Every blink, every breath. Then, softly, You sure you're not leading them to me? Marco looked offended. Boss, I've been with you 10 years. I bled for you. That's what Vince said before he betrayed me. The silence was razor thin. Nicole's chest rose and fell. Luigi, maybe. But he raised a hand, cutting her off. If you're lying, Marco, I'll know. Marco's voice cracked slightly. Then I guess we'll find out. For a long, tense moment, they stared at each other. Then Luigi holstered his gun, turning to Nicole. Pack your things. We move again. She exhaled shakily. How long can you keep this up? As long as it takes. She wanted to scream, to demand answers, but there was no time. The truth about Vince, about who betrayed him, hung heavy in the air, unresolved. As she threw her things together, Nicole glanced through the window. In the reflection, past her own frightened eyes, a small red light blinked once more. This time, closer. Moving. They weren't alone. The safe house no longer felt safe. Every corner seemed to breathe. Every shadow felt alive. Nicole moved quickly, stuffing her things into a worn duffel, her hands trembling. She glanced once at Luigi, still by the window, eyes fixed on the rain-soaked tree line, as if waiting for something only he could sense. Marco stood a few feet away, silent, watchful. Too calm, too still. She didn't know who to fear more, the enemies outside or the men inside. The tension was a wire pulled too tight. Which way are we going? She asked, voice low. Luigi didn't answer right away. He turned finally, slow, deliberate. North. There's a contact I trust, old friend. Marco gave a dry laugh. Trust, that's rare these days. Luigi's gaze snapped to him. Yes, it is. Nicole froze. Something in that exchange, the way Marco smirked, the way Luigi's hand hovered near his gun, told her this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. She slung the duffel over her shoulder. Let's just go. But before Luigi could move, a faint click echoed from somewhere outside. He spun. Down! Gunfire ripped through the cabin windows. Nicole screamed, ducking behind the table as glass exploded like hail. Luigi dragged her down, covering her head with his arm, returning fire through the shattered pane. 2 outside! Marco shouted, diving for cover. 3! Luigi corrected, eyes narrowing. 1 at the ridge! How the hell do you? Because I know how I would attack this place, he growled. The air filled with chaos, bullets, splintered wood, thunder rumbling like judgment. Nicole crawled toward the back hallway, heart pounding. A bullet tore through a lamp inches from her face. She gasped. Luigi barked, Stay with me! He grabbed her wrist, pulling her into the kitchen, away from the windows. Basement, he ordered. Go! What about you? I'll cover the door. She hesitated. He shouted, Go, Nicole! She bolted down the stairs, heart hammering, the world above erupting with violence. The basement was dark, damp, stone walls lined with old crates and shelves. She crouched behind a barrel, hands over her ears, praying this nightmare would end. Then, footsteps, slow, heavy. Her breath caught. Luigi? She whispered. No answer. The footsteps grew louder, closer, deliberate. She pressed her back to the wall, pulse racing, eyes searching for anything she could use, a wrench, a pipe, anything. The door creaked open. Light spilled down the stairs, and there he was. Marco. His face glistened with sweat. His gun hung at his side. Marco, she whispered, relief washing through her, but only for a second, because his eyes didn't look like relief. They looked like regret. He raised the gun. Nicole froze. Marco, what are you doing? He exhaled. You shouldn't have been here, Nick. You were just in the wrong place. Her stomach turned. You're working for them. I didn't want it this way. His voice cracked. But they offered me something I couldn't refuse. What could possibly be worth this? She demanded, tears burning her eyes. Freedom, he said simply. From him. From all of it. Before she could speak, the stairs groaned. Luigi appeared at the top, gun aimed. His voice was low, lethal. I knew it. Marco turned, startled. You weren't supposed to. You really thought I wouldn't see it? Luigi stepped down slowly, eyes locked on him. You fed them the location. You planted the tracker. Marco's jaw clenched. You left me behind, boss. You made me clean up your wars. You took everything and called it loyalty. Luigi's voice hardened. I gave you a name, a family. You gave me chains. The basement air grew thick, the ghosts of their years together crowding between them. Nicole pressed back, silent, watching as two men, once brothers in arms, faced each other down. You killed my brother, Luigi said quietly. Marco flinched. That night in Jersey, Luigi continued. You tipped off the ambush. I had no choice. There's always a choice. The gunfire above resumed, faint, distant, as if the rest of the world had vanished and only this confrontation remained. Put it down, Luigi warned. Marco's eyes flicked to Nicole. You think you're saving her? You're not. She's the key to all of it. What are you talking about? Nicole shouted. Marco sneered. Ask him who her father is. Nicole blinked. What? Luigi's voice cut sharp. Enough. Marco laughed bitterly. She doesn't know, does she? That her father worked for you? That he disappeared because of you? Nicole stared between them, the room spinning. He's lying. Luigi's jaw tightened, silence heavier than denial. Her voice cracked. Luigi, tell me he's lying. He didn't. The truth struck harder than any bullet. Her father, the man who vanished, who left her life in ruins, tied to this. To him. Her knees weakened. You knew, this whole time. Luigi's eyes softened. Not until last night, when I saw the files. His name was there. I didn't want to believe it. Marco scoffed. Always hiding your sins, like the saint of sinners. Luigi's patience snapped. I should have ended you years ago. Then do it, Marco roared, lifting his gun. 2 shots cracked, thunder in the dark. For a moment, everything froze. Then Marco fell, a crimson bloom spreading across his chest. His eyes, wide, bitter, found Luigi's once more. History repeats itself, boss, he whispered. Then he was gone. Smoke curled between them. The echo faded. Nicole trembled, pressing a hand to her mouth. You killed him. Luigi lowered the weapon, eyes clouded. He made his choice. Her voice shook. So did you. He turned to her. Nicole, don't. Tears streaked her cheeks. You knew about my father. You knew. I didn't know he was yours. Not until the pieces fit. Then tell me why his name is in your files. Tell me what he did. Luigi's silence said enough. She stepped back. I don't even know who you are. His voice cracked, low, raw. The man trying to make it right. She shook her head, grabbing her bag, moving toward the stairs. I can't do this. Nicole, wait. But she was already running. Up into the storm, into the forest beyond the cabin, into a world that suddenly felt like a lie. Luigi stood in the doorway, rain soaking his shirt, gun still in his hand. He didn't chase her, not yet. Not until he saw the red light blinking again from the trees, moving after her. And then, without hesitation, he followed. Rain swallowed the forest, each drop echoing like a drumbeat of panic. Branches whipped against Nicole's face as she ran, lungs burning, shoes sinking into the mud. The night smelled of pine, smoke, and betrayal. Her heart ached more than her legs. Her father, Luigi, the files, all of it twisted into a storm she couldn't outrun. She stumbled down a slope, catching herself against a tree, breath trembling. Behind her the forest groaned. Somewhere in the distance, a shout, faint but sharp. Nicole! Luigi's voice. She turned away from it. She didn't want to see him, didn't want to face the truth in his eyes. He'd known. He'd looked at her, and known, and said nothing. Thunder rolled overhead. She pressed a hand to her chest, trying to breathe. I can't do this. Leaves rustled nearby. She froze. Luigi? No answer. A twig snapped, then another. Before she could react, a figure emerged from the dark. Not Luigi. Two men, faces hidden by masks, guns glinting beneath the lightning. Nicole gasped, stumbling back. Please, I don't have anything! One man stepped forward, grabbing her arm. You're coming with us! She struggled, kicking, shouting. Let me go! Please! A blow struck the side of her head, not hard enough to knock her out, but enough to blur the world into smears of rain and shadow. The last thing she saw before everything dimmed was a pair of red lights blinking through the trees, not car lights, trackers, watching. When she woke, her wrists ached. Her vision cleared slowly. The world around her shimmered under flickering fluorescent light, cold, sterile, underground. She was tied to a chair in a concrete room. A dripping pipe echoed in the corner. Footsteps approached. From the shadows, Vince stepped forward. She recognized him from Luigi's brief, tense mentions. The ambitious one, the one always chasing power. Hello, Nicole. His tone was almost polite. You've caused quite the mess. Her voice shook. What do you want from me? He smiled faintly. Oh, I don't want you. You're just leverage. Leverage? She repeated. He crouched in front of her. Luigi's weakness. He won't risk you. He'll come for you. And when he does, he'll die. Nicole's heart pounded. You don't need me. He doesn't even care, Vince finished. You're wrong. I've known him longer than you've been alive, and I've seen that look in his eyes. He doesn't realize it yet, but you've become something he can't lose. Her throat tightened. If you hurt him, Vince laughed. You really don't understand this world, do you? Everyone gets hurt, especially those who try to leave. He stood, pacing. Your father tried. Thought he could walk away. Start over. You should have seen Luigi's face when he found out your old man was feeding intel to the feds. Nicole froze. What? Didn't he tell you? Vince leaned closer. Your father was the mole. The reason Luigi's brother got killed. He tried to fix it, make it right. But in our world, mistakes cost blood. Her voice cracked. You're lying. Am I? Vince smirked. Luigi buried that truth because he didn't want to see you break. Maybe he thought protecting you would undo the past. But secrets always rot. Nicole shook her head. No, he wouldn't. A gunshot exploded above. Dust rained from the ceiling. Vince turned toward the door, grin fading. Well, speak of the devil. Another shot. Closer. Then, silence. The door burst open. Luigi stepped in, eyes blazing, soaked from rain and fury. He aimed his weapon. Move! Vince raised his hand slowly, smile returning. I knew you'd come. Luigi's voice was ice. Let her go. Vince gestured casually. You don't make demands here anymore. You're finished, Luigi. The families are turning. You're just a ghost who doesn't know he's dead. Luigi fired once, hitting Vince's gun hand. The weapon clattered to the floor. I said let her go. Vince hissed in pain, clutching his hand, but still laughed. You think saving her will save you? Luigi stepped closer, eyes like steel. No, but it'll save her. He untied Nicole, pulling her to her feet. Her legs wobbled. She stared at him, eyes full of confusion, anger, heartbreak. You knew. He hesitated. Not everything. You knew my father worked for you. Yes. And that he betrayed you. Yes. Tears blurred her vision. And you didn't tell me. I wanted to, he said quietly, but not like this. Not when every word would sound like a sentence. Did you kill him? The question hung between them, heavier than the storm outside. No, Luigi said finally, but I couldn't save him. Nicole's breath caught. He's dead? Luigi nodded once. He was trying to fix what he broke. He paid with his life. She stepped back, shaking her head. No, this isn't real. He reached for her. Nicole, don't touch me. Vince chuckled weakly from the floor. Told you, boss. History repeats. Luigi turned the gun on him. Not this time. But before he could act, Vince's other hand slammed a button on the wall. Sirens blared. Red lights flashed. Heavy footsteps thundered from the corridor. Go! Luigi shouted, grabbing Nicole's hand. They sprinted down the hall, alarms screaming. Men poured from doors, shouting orders. Gunfire erupted. Luigi returned fire, dragging Nicole behind cover. She pressed her hands over her ears, heart pounding, eyes wide. Stay behind me, he barked. I'm trying. They reached a steel door. Luigi slammed his shoulder against it. It gave way, opening to a service tunnel stretching into the night. Rain poured through the open end. Freedom, if they could reach it. Nicole stumbled as bullets ricocheted around them. Luigi pulled her forward, shielding her with his body. One shot grazed his arm. He grunted but didn't stop. Luigi, you're bleeding. I've had worse. They burst into the storm, headlights flashing ahead, an abandoned truck. He shoved her inside, slid behind the wheel, and gunned the engine. Mud sprayed as they tore down the old road, leaving the compound behind in smoke and fury. Only when the forest thinned did Nicole finally speak. Why didn't you tell me? He kept his eyes on the road. Because I didn't want you to carry his sins. They were yours too, she whispered. He winced, pain flickering in his eyes, not from the wound, but from the truth. You're not him, Nicole, he said quietly. You're not your father. You don't have to pay for what he did. But you did, she said softly, and now I do too. Neither spoke after that. The only sound was rain and the engine's low growl. Finally, when they reached a ridge overlooking the city, Luigi pulled over. He killed the engine, sat there, breathing hard, staring at the skyline through the rain. Everything I built, he said, voice low. Everything I thought mattered. It's all burning. Nicole turned to him, eyes tired, heart torn. Then maybe it's time to stop running. He looked at her, truly looked, seeing not a mistake, not a burden, but the one person who'd made him want something different. Freedom, redemption, peace. I can't undo what's been done, he said, but I can end it. She wiped her tears, voice steadying. Then let's end it. Their eyes met, a truce forged in fire. But behind them, in the shadows of the forest road, another pair of headlights flickered to life. They weren't alone. The forest road twisted through mist and moonlight, a ribbon of silver cutting through black. Luigi's hands gripped the steering wheel tight, knuckles pale against the leather. Rain streaked the windshield, each drop a heartbeat counting down to the inevitable. Beside him, Nicole sat silent, eyes lost in the storm outside. She hadn't spoken since the truth came out, about her father, about the past. He wanted to speak, to say anything that could rebuild what had shattered. But words felt useless now. In his world, apologies didn't fix bloodstains. The headlights behind them glowed brighter. Luigi glanced in the mirror. 2 cars, maybe 3. His voice cut through the rain. Hold on. Nicole turned, eyes wide. What? Before she could finish, he swerved off the road, down a dirt path half hidden by trees. The tires skidded, mud spraying like smoke. Branches scraped against the sides as they plunged deeper into the woods. Who is it? She asked, gripping the door. Vince's men, he said. They'll chase us until we stop breathing. Nicole's pulse quickened. Then don't stop. He gave a faint, grim smile. Wasn't planning to. A burst of gunfire shattered the rear window. She screamed, ducking as glass rained across the seat. Luigi jerked the wheel, spinning sharply onto a narrow bridge. The truck fishtailed but held. Behind them, the pursuers followed, engines roaring, tires cutting through the mud. He spotted a fallen tree ahead, angled across the path. No time to turn, no way through. He slammed the brakes. Out, he shouted. Nicole didn't hesitate. She followed him into the storm, boots sinking in mud, wind howling through the valley. The forest around them was alive with shadows, and somewhere behind, headlights cut through the trees. Luigi grabbed her hand. "This way!" They ran, breath ragged, through tangled roots and dripping leaves. She stumbled once, and his arm wrapped around her instantly, holding her steady. For a fleeting second, their eyes met, soaked, gasping, hearts thundering. She saw it there, what he couldn't say. Fear, not for himself, but for her. Voices echoed behind them. Flashlights swung. They ducked low, pressing against a rock face slick with moss. Nicole whispered, "We can't keep running." Luigi's jaw clenched. "We're not." He pulled a small transmitter from his coat. Old, scratched, but still functional. "I've got men 2 miles out. If we make it to the ridge, we stand a chance. And if we don't?" His eyes softened. "Then I'll make sure you do." Before she could respond, the forest exploded with light. A flare shot overhead, painting the rain in crimson. Then gunfire. Luigi shoved her behind a fallen log. "Stay down." He returned fire, moving with precision, each shot deliberate. She could see the soldier in him, not the criminal, but the protector carved by loss. One man went down, another advanced. Luigi pivoted, but a shot grazed his shoulder. He hissed, dropping to one knee. "Luigi!" she cried, crawling toward him. He waved her back. "Stay there." But when another figure emerged from the trees behind him, she didn't think. She moved. She snatched a fallen branch, swung with everything she had. It struck the attacker's arm. The gun fired upward, harmlessly. Luigi spun, finishing the fight in one clean motion. Silence fell again, except for the storm. He looked at her, chest heaving. "You saved me." Again. Her breath shook. "We're even now." He smiled faintly, blood running down his arm. Not even close. They pressed forward together, climbing toward the ridge. The city lights shimmered faintly in the distance, freedom, fragile and far. When they finally reached the clearing, Luigi raised the transmitter. "This is Moretti. I need extraction." Static. Then a voice. "Copy that. 2 minutes out." Nicole slumped against a tree, rain dripping from her hair. "We're going to make it." But Luigi didn't answer. He was staring down the slope, eyes narrowing. She followed his gaze and froze. A convoy, black SUVs cutting through the valley like predators. Dozens of headlights. Her voice trembled. "That's not your men." "No," he said. "That's everyone else." The betrayal was complete. The war had come to him. He turned to her, face grim. "They won't stop." "Then what do we do?" "We finish this." The roar of engines grew louder. Nicole's hands trembled. "There's too many." Luigi looked at her. Really looked. "Nicole, I spent my life fighting for power, for a name that means nothing now. You made me want more than survival." She blinked, tears mixing with rain. "Luigi." He stepped closer, his voice softer now, almost a whisper lost in the storm. "You're not my weakness," he said. "You're my reason." Her heart stuttered. The world shrank to his eyes. The storm, the danger, all fading behind the truth he'd finally spoken. She touched his chest, just above his heart. "Then fight for that, for us." He nodded once. "Stay behind me." The sound of rotors split the sky. Not one, but 2 helicopters, floodlights slicing through the rain. The SUVs skidded to a stop below, doors opening, men spilling out like shadows. Luigi stepped forward, weapon drawn, shoulders squared. Nicole stood behind him, clutching his arm. She wasn't going to run, not again. A voice boomed from a megaphone. "Luigi Moretti, surrender now! You're surrounded!" he shouted back. "By thieves and traitors!" Gunfire erupted, a storm of light and sound. Bullets tore through trees. The world became chaos. Luigi fired back, ducking behind a boulder, pulling Nicole close. "We can't hold them!" she cried. He pressed the transmitter again. "Where are you?" The voice crackled back, faint through static. "Almost there. Hold on." But even as hope sparked, headlights flared from behind, a 4th SUV emerging from the tree line. Doors swung open, and from it stepped a familiar figure, limping, bandaged, but alive. Vince. Nicole's blood ran cold. I thought you killed him. So did I, Luigi growled. Vince's laugh echoed over the rain. You never did know how to finish a job, boss. He raised his gun. But I do. Nicole screamed as Vince fired. Luigi shoved her aside. The bullet tore through his side. He fell to one knee, breath sharp. No, she cried, catching him. Vince stepped closer, smirking. Should have stayed in the dark, Moretti. The world doesn't need your kind anymore. Lightning flashed, thunder boomed, and in that split second, a roar overhead. 2 black helicopters broke through the clouds, floodlights blinding the valley. Luigi's men. Gunfire rained down from above. Vince stumbled back, shooting wildly. One shot grazed Nicole's shoulder, pain searing white-hot. She cried out, clutching the wound. Luigi's fury ignited. He rose despite the pain, eyes locked on Vince. For my brother, he growled. For her. The final shot echoed like thunder. Vince fell, this time for good. The valley fell silent but for the rain. Nicole dropped to her knees beside Luigi, pressing her hands over his wound. You're losing too much blood. He smiled faintly. You're bleeding too. She shook her head, tears falling. I'm fine, just stay with me. Sirens wailed in the distance, the sound of law closing in. Helicopters hovered low, ropes dropping. Men shouted orders. Luigi grabbed her hand. If they take me. No, she whispered. We stay together. Nicole, I'm not leaving you again. Their eyes locked. Pain, love, defiance. And in that storm, with the world collapsing around them, they held on to each other. 2 souls, bound by bloodlines and choices. As agents swarmed the ridge, flashlights cutting through the dark, Luigi whispered the words she'd been waiting to hear. I'll find you, no matter what it takes. Nicole's tears fell onto his hand. Then I'll wait. The rain washed over them, sirens screaming, as fate closed in, demanding its price. The sirens grew louder as the storm began to fade. Red and blue lights fractured across the wet leaves, dancing on broken glass and spilled blood. Nicole knelt beside Luigi, her hands slick with rain and crimson, refusing to let go. Agents moved like shadows, guns raised, shouting orders she didn't hear. All she saw was him. Stay with me, she whispered, tears mixing with rain. Please, Luigi. He blinked slowly, his breath shallow. You need to run. She shook her head fiercely. I'm not leaving you. An agent stepped forward, shouting, Hands where we can see them. Nicole turned, wild-eyed. He's hurt. He needs a doctor. The man hesitated, then barked into his radio. We've got Moretti alive. Get medical now. Within seconds, 2 medics rushed in, lifting Luigi onto a stretcher. He winced but didn't resist, his hand reaching for Nicole's. She gripped it tight. I'll be right behind you. He met her gaze, a storm behind his eyes. No matter what happens next, don't lose yourself. Her voice cracked. I already did. They pulled him away, and she followed until a hand stopped her. Firm, professional. Ma'am, you can't go any further, an agent said. He's hurt. He's under arrest. The words cut through her like a blade. No, you don't understand. But the agent guided her back, gentle but unyielding. The world blurred. The flashing lights, the shouting voices, the sound of rotors above. Everything felt distant. Unreal. By the time she reached the city, Luigi was gone, swallowed by the machinery of law and consequence. 2 days later, the sky over Manhattan was clear, cruelly calm. Nicole sat in the waiting area of a federal building, a bandage on her shoulder, exhaustion clinging to her like a shadow. The television above played muted news. Crime boss arrested in major sting. Sources say he may testify. She clenched her fists. They didn't know him. They didn't see what she saw. A woman approached, mid-40s, sharp suit, eyes that had seen too much. Nicole Carter? Nicole stood wary. Yes? The woman extended a card. Agent Ramirez. Organized Crime Division. Nicole didn't take it. If you're here to tell me what he's done, I already know. Ramirez's expression softened. I'm not here to judge him. I'm here because he asked me to. Nicole's heart stopped. He what? Luigi Moretti made contact from holding, Ramirez said. He's willing to testify, to give us everything. Names, accounts, evidence, in exchange for immunity for a civilian. Nicole frowned. What civilian? Ramirez tilted her head. You. Nicole blinked. Me? He said you didn't belong in his world, that you deserve a clean slate. His testimony could dismantle the families, but it means he goes away for a long time. The words echoed. He goes away. Prison. Isolation. A man born in shadows, now walking willingly into them. Nicole's voice trembled. Why would he do that? Ramirez looked at her carefully. You tell me. Nicole turned away, tears threatening again. Because that's who he is now. Hours later, they let her see him. The holding cell was stark, steel, and silent. Luigi sat alone, handcuffed, a faint bandage around his ribs. When he saw her, something softened in his eyes. Something only she could bring out. Hey, he said quietly. She stepped closer to the glass, her voice fragile. You're really going through with this? He nodded. It's the only way. You could run, she whispered. Disappear. I've been running my whole life. He leaned forward. It ends here. Tears welled in her eyes. You don't owe them anything. I owe you everything, he said. You gave me something I never thought I'd have again. What's that? Hope. The silence between them was thick with everything unsaid, every glance, every touch, every moment stolen from the fire. She pressed her palm to the glass. If you do this, they'll bury you. He mirrored her gesture. Then I'll know what it feels like to rest. Her breath shook. Don't say that. He smiled faintly. You once told me peace was something I should try. Maybe this is my chance. She wiped her tears, voice trembling. You can't just disappear, Luigi. You made me believe there's good left in this world. There is, he said softly. It's sitting right in front of me. She closed her eyes, the pain almost too much. I can't lose you. You won't. His voice was steady, certain. You'll carry me in every choice you make. And maybe one day, when all this is behind us, you'll forgive me. I already have. Their eyes met. One last silent promise. A guard appeared. Time's up. Nicole whispered, What happens now? He gave her a small, tired smile. Now, I burn the past, so you can walk free. The guard led him away. He didn't look back. She stood there long after the door closed, her reflection fractured in the glass. A girl who'd wandered into a storm and found love in the eye of it. Weeks passed. Headlines filled every screen. Mafia empire collapses. High-profile testimony exposes corruption. Senator implicated. The city buzzed with rumors, betrayal, arrests, broken alliances, and in every article, every whispered conversation, one name remained a ghost. Luigi Moretti. Nicole watched the news from her small apartment, sipping coffee she couldn't taste. Her wounds had healed, but something deeper ached. She'd visit his trial if she could, but his location was sealed. Protective custody, they said. Too dangerous for the public to know. Still, some nights she swore she could feel him. That quiet presence, watching, guiding. His words echoing, You're my reason. She carried on, returned to work, helped rebuild her mother's old bookstore. Painted the lake cabin in her dreams, a symbol of everything they'd lost and everything they might still find. And then, one morning, a letter arrived. No return address, just her name, written in a hand she knew. Inside, a single line. When the storm clears, look to the lake. Her breath caught. Tears blurred the ink. He was alive. The first snow of winter drifted softly across Manhattan, quiet, delicate, unaware of the storm it covered. Beneath the calm, a war was ending. For weeks the city had lived in the shadow of a reckoning. Headlines screamed of arrests, indictments, Resignations. A senator exposed for corruption. Police chiefs under investigation. 5 families dismantled overnight. And behind every headline was the same whispered name, Luigi Moretti, the ghost who turned on his own empire to bring the truth into the light. But ghosts rarely rest, and empires never fall quietly. Nicole Carter sat alone in her small bookstore, tucked on a quiet corner of Brooklyn, snow piled against the window. The shop smelled of old paper, rain-damp coats, and fresh coffee. She flipped the closed sign to face the street and sank into the chair behind the counter. It had been months since Luigi's letter. Months since she'd seen his eyes, heard his voice, felt the steadiness of his hand guiding her through chaos. Sometimes when the street grew silent, she thought she heard him. Footsteps outside, the faint echo of his low, patient voice. But it was always the wind, always emptiness. She'd rebuilt piece by piece, reopened the store, launched art workshops for kids, painted the back wall with a mural of a lake beneath a rising sun. A reminder of the place they'd found peace, even if just for one night. Still, every day ended the same. Her heart waited for footsteps that never came. Until today. The doorbell jingled, a sound too gentle for what followed. Nicole looked up and froze. A man stepped inside, shaking snow from his shoulders. Not Luigi, but the sharp suit, the scar near his temple, the shadowed eyes. She recognized him, Vince's lieutenant. The air went cold. He smiled thinly. "Miss Carter, I was hoping you'd still be here." Her voice trembled. "Whatever you're looking for, I don't have it." "Oh, I think you do," he said, stepping closer. "You were the last to see him." "The boss. Where is he?" She rose slowly. "He's gone." He chuckled darkly. "Not gone. Hidden. And the people who lost everything because of him. They want blood. You're the bait." Her heart raced. "You won't touch me." He drew a small pistol, tucking it beneath his coat. "It's not personal. You were just in the wrong place again." The bell above the door chimed. The lieutenant turned, startled. A figure stood there, tall, broad, wearing a dark wool coat dusted with snow. Nicole's breath caught. He didn't need to speak. She knew that stance, that calm under tension, those eyes, sharp, blue, and alive. Luigi. For a heartbeat, the world stopped. Then chaos exploded. The gun fired. Glass shattered. Nicole dove behind the counter. Luigi moved faster, crossing the room like a storm, disarming the man with a single twist. The gun clattered to the floor. A punch. Another. The lieutenant crumpled, unconscious, as snow swirled through the broken window. Silence. Nicole rose slowly, trembling. You're real." Luigi turned, breathing hard, blood streaking his knuckles. His eyes softened at the sight of her. "Told you I'd find you." Tears blurred her vision. How are you here?" "I thought, witness protection," he said simply. "They buried my name. But when the last of the families fell, I came back. Couldn't stay away." She crossed the floor in 2 steps and threw her arms around him. For a moment, the weight of every sleepless night, every unanswered question, dissolved. He held her tight, like a man anchoring himself to the only truth he had left. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered into his coat. "They'll kill you." He pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. "They already tried." Her hand brushed his jaw, tracing the faint scar she hadn't seen before. "What did they do to you?" "Enough to remind me why I needed to finish this." His voice was calm, steady. "It's almost over, Nicole, I promise." A groan broke the moment. The lieutenant stirred, clutching his ribs. Luigi turned, eyes hardening. "Stay down." But the man smiled, blood on his teeth. "You think you've won? You have no idea who you crossed." Luigi's gaze sharpened. "Who?" "Ask the man who built your empire," the lieutenant rasped. "Ask the senator who paid for it." Nicole's stomach dropped. "The senator from the news?" Luigi nodded slowly. "The one who walked free." "He's not done," the lieutenant hissed. "He's rebuilding, in the shadows, and he wants you both gone." Luigi's jaw tightened. "Then we end it tonight." He turned to Nicole. "Get your coat." "What?" "No, you can't face this alone. I'm not. His hand found hers. We finish what we started. Together. Hours later, the city lights blurred beneath them as they drove across the bridge. Two ghosts returning to the heart of the storm. The senator's mansion loomed on the outskirts of Long Island, sprawling and cold, a monument to corruption dressed in marble and glass. Luigi parked a block away. You stay here. Nicole shook her head. Not a chance. He sighed, the faintest smile. Stubborn as ever. They moved quietly through the snow, slipping past gates, shadows against the floodlights. Inside, laughter echoed faintly from a ballroom, a celebration for men who thought they'd escaped judgment. Luigi's voice was low. He's inside, surrounded. Nicole whispered, What's the plan? He handed her a small drive. Everything he buried, his accounts, his deals, his orders, all tied to the assassinations, the bribes, the families. Her eyes widened. Where did you... Marco kept backups, he said. Guess he did one thing right. She took the drive, clutching it tight. What do I do? Get it to the press. Once it's out, he can't bury it. And you? He chambered around. I'm going to say hello. Before she could stop him, he slipped through the side door, silent as smoke. Nicole moved fast, ducking into the alley, heart hammering. Snow fell heavier now, masking her steps as she sprinted toward her car. But before she reached it, headlights flared, blinding white. A black SUV blocked the path. Two men stepped out. One raised a gun. She froze. Then, thunder, a single shot. The gunman dropped, sprawled in the snow. Luigi stepped from the shadows behind them, smoke curling from his weapon. His eyes locked on her, fierce, protective. Go! She ran. Tires spun. The SUV lurched aside as she sped into the night, clutching the drive like a lifeline. Behind her, the mansion erupted with noise, alarms, shouts, gunfire. She glanced once in the mirror, saw flashes, shadows, movement, and then nothing. By dawn, the story broke. Leaked documents exposed political conspiracy, senator under federal arrest. The empire had fallen. Nicole sat in her car by the lakeshore, their lake, staring at the horizon. Snow covered the trees, soft and pure. She held the phone, refreshing the news feed, searching for any mention of him. Nothing. Her eyes filled. Where are you? A soft crunch of footsteps behind her. She turned and froze. Luigi stood there, coat torn, eyes tired but alive. I told you I'd find you, he said softly. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You always do. He stepped closer, cupping her face, thumbs brushing away the cold. It's over. She nodded, breath trembling. We're free. No, he whispered, leaning in. You're free. I'm just lucky to be beside you. Their lips met, a quiet promise beneath the rising sun, the world reborn around them. For the first time there was no siren, no shadow, no fear, only love, only peace. But as the snow fell gently on the lake, neither saw the dark figure watching from the tree line. A silhouette with a phone pressed to his ear. A voice whispered through the static. He's alive. Proceed to phase 2. Dawn broke like a quiet promise. The lake shimmered under a pale sky, mist curling over the water like a veil between worlds. Nicole stood on the porch of the cabin, wrapped in a wool blanket, watching sunlight touch the frozen shore. The air was cold, sharp, pure. Inside she could hear him moving, steady, deliberate, the sound of a man relearning peace. Luigi Moretti, once feared, hunted, and lost. Now, simply alive. He stepped outside moments later, 2 mugs of coffee in hand. His coat hung open, hair damp, eyes tired but softer now, no longer hiding behind storms. He offered her 1 mug. 2 sugars, like always. She smiled faintly. You remembered. I forget everything else. Not that. They stood side by side, the steam curling into the cold. For the first time in a long time, silence wasn't heavy. It was healing. She glanced up at him. Do you ever think about what comes next? He took a slow sip, eyes on the lake. Every day. I thought survival was the endgame. Turns out, It's just the beginning. Nicole leaned against the railing. You gave up everything. Your name, your world, your power. I traded it, he said softly. For this. She followed his gaze, sunlight spilling across the water, melting the ice in slow, glimmering cracks. You think it'll last? She asked quietly. He smiled, small and real. If we fight for it. A faint sound drifted through the trees, the crunch of tires on gravel. Nicole stiffened, instinct flaring. Luigi set his mug down, eyes narrowing. Stay here. She grabbed his arm. No more running. He hesitated, then nodded once. Together, they stepped off the porch as a dark sedan rolled into view. The engine stopped. A door opened. From the car stepped Agent Ramirez, her coat dusted with snow. Nicole exhaled in relief. You scared me. Ramirez raised a hand. Sorry. Old habit. I come bearing news. Luigi crossed his arms. Good or bad? Both, she said, handing him a file. The senator's allies, the ones who funded everything, they're gone, indicted or in hiding. But one slipped through, a financier operating offshore. The one they called the broker. Nicole frowned. What does he want? Ramirez's gaze shifted. Revenge, on the man who broke his empire. Luigi's voice was calm. Then he'll find me. He already did. Ramirez nodded toward the trees. We intercepted chatter this morning. A hit was ordered. They know you're here. Nicole's pulse spiked. No, not again. Ramirez looked between them. We can relocate you. New names, new state, new life. Luigi shook his head. No more hiding. It ends here. Ramirez studied him, then sighed. I thought you'd say that. Nicole stepped forward. If we stay, what happens when they come? Luigi turned to her, eyes steady. Then we show them who we are. She met his gaze, fear flickering, then fading. Together. That night the forest was quiet. Too quiet. Luigi sat at the kitchen table, cleaning the old revolver one last time. Nicole placed a lantern by the window, light flickering like a heartbeat. Outside, snow fell in soft, steady silence, the kind that hides footsteps. She crossed the room, placing a hand on his shoulder. You don't have to do this. He looked up at her, eyes clear, calm. I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for us. She nodded slowly, her hand trembling against his. Then I'm staying. A faint snap echoed outside, a branch breaking. Luigi rose, silent. Moving to the door, Nicole followed, heart pounding. Headlights cut through the trees, 3 cars, black, low to the ground. Doors opened. Figures stepped out, 5, 6, 7. Shadows in tailored suits, guns glinting in the moonlight. The lead man stepped forward, tall, pale, a scar like a blade across his cheek. The broker. His voice was smooth as silk. Mr. Moretti, you've made quite the mess. Luigi's tone didn't waver. I cleaned one up. The broker smiled. By betraying your own kind? By finally seeing them for what they were. And what are you now? The man asked. Luigi glanced at Nicole. Free? The broker scoffed. Freedom's an illusion. You bought peace with blood. Now it's time to pay. He raised his hand. Guns lifted. Before they could fire, floodlights blazed across the clearing. A voice boomed from the tree line. FBI, drop your weapons. Dozens of agents emerged from the dark, guns trained. Ramirez led them, badge glinting in the beam. Game's over, broker. For a moment, no one moved. Then, chaos. The broker fired first. Agents returned fire. The forest exploded in light and sound. Nicole ducked behind the porch rail, covering her head. Luigi fired twice, disarming one attacker, then pulled her close. Stay with me, he shouted. I'm not going anywhere. The broker fled toward the trees, blood streaking his coat. Luigi gave chase. Nicole started after him, but Ramirez caught her arm. Let him finish it. Through the snow, through the dark, Luigi pursued his final ghost. The broker stumbled onto the frozen lake, slipping, gasping. Luigi's voice cut through the night. "It's over!" The man turned, weapon shaking. "You don't get to walk away clean!" "I'm not walking away," Luigi said, lowering his gun. "I'm walking forward." The broker sneered, firing. The shot cracked the ice, sending fractures racing like lightning. Luigi dove aside, rolled, returned fire. The broker fell. The ice gave way. In a heartbeat, the water swallowed him whole. Silence followed, heavy, final. Luigi stood on the cracking surface, breath clouding in the cold, watching as the lake grew still again. No more enemies, no more ghosts, just peace. When he returned to the cabin, Nicole ran into his arms, tears of relief warming the winter air. He held her tight, whispering against her hair. "It's done." She looked up at him, eyes shining. "So what now?" He smiled softly. "Now, we live." Ramirez approached, offering a thin envelope. "Your records are cleared, both of you. You're ghosts, legally dead. You can go anywhere, be anyone." Nicole looked at Luigi. "Who do we want to be?" He thought for a moment, then said quietly, "Ourselves." Ramirez nodded once. "Then start fresh. You've earned it." She turned to leave, pausing at the doorway. "You know, Moretti, not many men get to rewrite their ending." He smiled faintly. "I didn't rewrite it. I just waited long enough to tell the truth." Weeks later, spring touched the lake. The ice melted. The air softened. Flowers bloomed along the shore. Nicole stood barefoot in the grass, sunlight warming her skin. Luigi joined her, sleeves rolled, eyes light. He carried something small, a silver ring, simple but true. She gasped softly, "Luigi." He smiled, the kind that reached his eyes. "I never got to ask you for a life before, just for forgiveness." Tears shimmered in her lashes. "You don't have to ask." He took her hand, voice steady. "Then let's build one. No lies, no shadows, just us." She nodded, breath trembling. "Yes." As he slipped the ring onto her finger, the wind rustled through the trees, gentle, approving. They kissed beneath the open sky, the lake shining behind them, the past fading like mist. For the first time, forever didn't feel like a dream. It felt like home. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.